All right, let's play the game. What up, YouTube? It's popping. Let's see if we can figure this shit out. That's right. We're gonna see if we can figure this shit out.
One defense I hear from all across the political spectrum when I criticize corporations or talk about free speech online is they're a private company, they can do whatever they want. But what happens when the government is using said private company in order to suppress what people can say? It's a private company, they can do whatever they want, was never a defense. It was a threat. Feels so good to be vindicated. Actually, no it doesn't. Feels awful. This is a 100% pure, unfiltered, unscripted rant, just like the old days. So forgive me if I randomly go off topic, but this is a very interesting story, and it absolutely...
You have 1.67 million subscribers, and you uploaded this on November 3rd, 2022. I'm gonna just tell people, when you get up to a certain fucking point, when you get up to like maybe 300,000 subscribers, don't do shit randomly. Don't do shit. Your sphere of influence is so far, you gotta remember that includes at least one crazy motherfucker.
Absolutely could not wait for the next hell world like 4 months from now. But according to a new, very detailed report from The Intercept, the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, has been closely working with social media to monitor and censor people. Wow, who could have seen this coming? Everyone. Let's read some of this expose together, shall we? Get comfy. I made you some tea. Here you go. The Department of Homeland Security is quietly broadening its effort to curb speech it considers dangerous. Years of internal DHS memos, emails, and documents obtained via leaks and an ongoing lawsuit, as well as public documents, illustrate an expansive effort by the agency to influence tech platforms. Behind closed doors and through pressure on private platforms, the US government has used its power to try and shape online discourse. Ah yes, the government and corpos. Two of a thing I hate. Working together. The department plans to target inaccurate information on a wide range of topics, including the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic and the efficiency of the COVID-19 vaccines, racial justice, US withdrawal from Afghanistan, and the nature of US support to Ukraine. In a March meeting, an FBI official warned that the threat of subversive information on social media could undermine support for the US government. Oh, trust me, you don't need social media to do that. You guys are doing a fine job at that on your own. How disinformation...
All right. I know that the next thing on this screen says how disinformation is defined by the government has not been clearly articulated, and the inherently subjective nature of what constitutes disinformation provides a broad opening for DHS officials to make politically motivated determinations about what constitutes dangerous speech. Yes, while giving any government entity power as such is terrible, and in the behest of the private company, they can do whatever they want. You end up in this tumultuous situation. But this yet again brings me back to the point that I seem to never be able to escape, and it seems to be the point of the season, let alone my life. You're also talking about the absurd. At no fucking... Okay. It's either all on the table or it's not all on the table, because we all know about the limits that we're trying to curtail here. And there's no fucking way for us to do that until we draw a line in the sand at something. Yo, it is crazy to me that we're having this conversation about government and free speech when, like, the dude who owns Twitter, obviously in hindsight, this is a hindsight argument. You'd have to have the foresight to see this coming. But, like, anybody had the foresight to see this coming. The absurd! The cat turd runs the internet! Like, brother in Christ. It's like, if I throw out the name Stone Toss, it ushers a whole slew of information, right? That's what we gotta work on. It's bad faith marketplace of ideas that you want to exist. Now, obviously, we don't want to talk about, the truth about what the U.S. is doing here, but there are people that believe there were bioweapons in Ukraine, and that's why we're interested. That's why Russia's going after them for the bioweapons. They're gonna start Resident Evil 4. Like, it's funny, but you have political adversaries that are over you saying this is the shit we gotta fight. You thought it was funny when it started. You thought it was funny when it started about, oh, the kitty. There's schools that have kitty litter for the students who pretend to be cats. You find out the truth about it, but the absurd is the point you always argue against. It's never not the absurd, just wrong. It would be understandable if somebody heard there's litter in schools. Is that true? As opposed to there's litter in schools for furries. Is that true? You see how one is the absurd? I have to battle both the absurd and then the claim. By the time I get past the absurd, the claim is true. There's kitty litter in schools. So then what difference does it make what it's for? It's for, school shootings. Yeah, okay. Sure there, buddy.
Is defined by the government has not been clearly articulated, and the inherently subjective nature of what constitutes disinformation provides a broad opening for DHS officials to make politically motivated determinations about what constitutes as dangerous speech. Now you're probably asking, why is this happening? Well, the government can't outright censor us, right? That would be a violation of the First Amendment. But you know who can? Private corporations. So all it really takes—
Oh, this is the Elon Musk situation as of like 3 days ago. And I swear to God, at least 2 people in my circle of sub 20 audience talked about this exact fucking thing. Don't do the reverse about how, oh, if it's a private company but Elon Musk is a bad person, because it makes me say to you, okay, that's bad. What about the morality of the people you're talking about? Because private company generally don't have a huge fucking face on it like Elon Musk.
Takes someone from the government to slide into some tech CEO's DMs and say, hey, we got a little problem. You want to take care of it for us? So included in this expose were leaked text messages from a former DHS official who is now a Microsoft executive talking to another DHS official saying, quote, "These platforms have got to get comfortable with government."
Yes, they do. 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 Yes, they fucking do! They make policy calls based on Twitter! Where have you fucking been? Oh my God! They make fucking policy based on Twitter!
Yikes. JP Morgan Chase stressed that we need a media infrastructure that is held accountable. The banks? The f***ing banks? Everybody stop posting your opinions. The banks are mad. There is also a formalized process for government officials to directly flag content on Facebook or Instagram and request that it be throttled or suppressed through a special Facebook portal that requires a government or law enforcement email to use. Okay. Let me get this straight. The feds are monitoring Facebook and Instagram? What the hell could possibly be going on Instagram? The feds are—
This is deadass one of my only does she know moments.
Are reading your simp replies. The feds have seen you call me mommy. The challenge is particularly acute in marginalized communities, which are often the targets of false or misleading information. Oh, you hear that, black and brown people? You're particularly being monitored.
Oh my God! Because once you said the marginalized community, does she know? Oh my God, Now, okay. At this point, At this point, I think I should at least justify my reaction, right? I feel like at this point, if I'm supposed to be giving a critique of somebody, regardless of their decisions or actions towards me, I should at least make it grounded in reality instead of just, all the time, right? Okay, put it to you plain and simple. There are two crowds, and these two are the same. The people who say misleading shit like that, like you hear that, black and brown people, you're getting monitored heavily because you're stupid. And the same people who say the IQ of the distribution, the IQ curve clearly states that black and brown people, or black people in general, African Americans have the lowest IQ and therefore are the dumbest. You see how these two get interlaced? You see how quickly I can create the connection? Those are the same people. Maybe it's because in the black and brown communities, there are older people living by themselves due to how our communities function, and they are more likely to see something on WhatsApp or Instagram or the Facebook and share it with you like, oh shit, is this real? And they have to fight the misinformation that slips into the grasp of these so easily because once one person, like my coworker, once shared one of those dumbass things during the beginning start of COVID that said helicopters were going to spray a solution to kill COVID across NYC, don't be outside past 9. We all of a sudden got a problem with where we're getting our news from, right? See, it shows to me that, like, while I don't want the FBI to chime in on it, it's like, I also don't think anybody make jobs as being arbiters of see, everybody has bias. It's always going to be a constant conversation about bias. And the bias is, it's a lot easier to slip in misinformation to black and brown communities because we're actually sociable. Those white gated communities, the news takes so long to fucking travel because if they hear, oh, at 10 o'clock, there's going to be a car that's going to come around and spray your lawns with COVID-19 disinfectant, they call it homeowners association. Nah, we ain't never heard of that. Send out a text message from a group. They got little systems. Hey, we've seen this message spread around. This is not true. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. But this brings me back to the whole absurdity conversation yet again. I walk through my life assuming that you've at least dealt with one person that's told you a story about that, and or you've watched the content of somebody you might not know who's talked about this. I know I have. Therefore, I've probably listened to stories that are all relatable to my own. If you don't know that, then what type of stories do you listen to, and or what is your background?
By the FBI. But don't worry, it's for your own good. You're just too stupid to come up with your own conclusions.
Wow. So not only did I predict what she was going to say, because obvious, but I also explained that all the way through as something you just shouldn't say, because if you knew the state of how the communities work in marginalized communities, you know how easy that becomes. But okay, we're going to play that.
You need the government to do it for you. You need the government and corporations to step in and control what and what you cannot say. Silly minority. The counter-disinformation effort began in 2018, following a high-profile hacking incident of U.S. firms, when Congress passed and President Donald Trump signed the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency Act. They argued that the agency needed to take steps to halt the spread of false and misleading information, with a focus on information that undermines key democratic institutions, such as the courts, or by other sectors such as the financial system or public health measures.
Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. Okay. Not to be funny, but here's where I'm going to have to give Elon credit, but it's not giving him any credit. Because in irony, it's his fault. Eli and Lily. We saw that shit coming. Misinformation is huge. If we could spoof videos, now we got AI. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man.
In 2019, DHS created a separate entity called the Foreign Influence and Interference Branch to generate more detailed intelligence about disinformation.
Now, this isn't simping for this government and what it's doing. Obviously, I don't want that. But in the realm of in the realm of understanding where I stand as in a populace, as I stand on the social ladder, as I stand on in this American caste system, if you even want to call it, I know that my concerns make no larger difference to the greater scale of how large that is. I can't. As one voice, it would be dumb for me to say the government shouldn't be tracking us, because I think everybody knows that there's, like, Edward Snowden gave all the information out and then told you, like, how you should deal with it. Like, the dude inside said, yo, you really not, like, yeah, they got you, like, they measuring you, but they're not really paying attention to you. And if we were to just hinder all of our behaviors so that way they couldn't see anything, then that's just letting them win in the first place. Self-censorship. That's why it's so ironic to me that we're having this entire conversation about trans people, because, like, you're doing the thing that you've done to other people throughout time, where you make it where they're the enemy just for existing. There is no true cause. There's no reason behind it. You just want it to be that way. Just like this person wants this conclusion to be specifically that.
In 2020, the disinformation focus expanded to include COVID-19, according to a Homeland Threat Assessment issued by Acting Secretary Chad Wolf. Chad Wolf! This apparently started during the Trump administration and continued into the Biden administration. So this is not even a left versus right thing. This is once again an us versus them thing. But
Stop acting like you know the way ahead, like you know the rules. There are no rules, man. We're lost.
But it will no doubt once again be turned into a left versus right thing, because the two-party system and its consequences have been a disaster for the American race. Sorry, it appears I have already popped off. In 2000,
The American race? I know what you meant, but
2004, DHS officials faced pressure from the George W. Bush administration to heighten the national threat level for terrorism, in a bid to influence voters prior to the election. According to former DHS Secretary Tom Ridge, U.S. officials have routinely lied about an array of issues, from the causes of its wars in Vietnam and Iraq, to their more recent around the role of National Institutes of Health in funding the Wuhan Institute of Virology's coronavirus research. Now, for those of you who don't know, the DHS was literally created in response to 9/11. So now, instead of going after Muslims, they're going after you for posting things that will be mainstream headlines in 6 months. Basically, this is their new war on terror, and baby, you're the terrorists. Remember a few months—
what? No, she wants Robert Malone to run wild.
They have your IP address, they have your zip code, they're fucking coming for you. They're coming for you. Chat, we have to be incredibly fucking concerned. I have zero evidence to support anything that I just said, but I know it's true.
Hold on! This is my face! Hold on! Hold on! This is my face! Hold on!
Instead of going after Muslims, they're going after you. I just wouldn't put that in a video. That's something I would say to my friend as a joke. Oh my god! Urged. Okay, shout out to my CinemaSins fans. Let me see if y'all get this one. Urged to make sneaky remark so strong right now.
Stop acting like you know the way ahead, like you know the rules.
Rules. There are no rules, man. We're lost. Like, come on. Come on.
months ago when they announced the Misinformation Governance Board, and they made some ex-theater kid liberal wine mom in charge of it, and she was cyberbullied so bad that they actually had to put the entire project on hold. Yeah, turns out we celebrated way too early, because apparently they didn't put it on hold. Jen Esterly, Biden's appointed director of CISA, swiftly made it clear that she would continue to shift resources in the agency to combat the spread of dangerous forms of information on social media. One could argue we're in the business of critical infrastructure, and the most critical infrastructure is our cognitive infrastructure. So building that resilience to misinformation and disinformation, I think, is incredibly important.
Cause it really be the fact that you can't imagine 1.1 million people in a grave in like a pile. So you've shifted your brain to thinking that not one of those people were somebody who fell for that misinformation. Then you think about the videos that kept getting posted where people were like begging for their lives and like wish they had gotten the vaccine and like, damn, I don't want to be like this, then pass away. You think those people are like making it up or that's liberal propaganda. Then you remember that of course right-wing networks wouldn't show that because that would undermine their message that the COVID-19 vaccine is not a vaccine, it's a way for them to control you, plus COVID-19 itself is a hoax. So then you get into the parallel of the right-left dynamic, and then you understand that both of them are both fighting the same misinformation because while the government's letting that group say what they want to say and do what they want to do, they're also hindering the other side from being able to actually have an improvement in the quality of life. So now you're forced to play the paradigm of both sides while still at the same time aiming both sides at one side. So you are constantly in a double team, triple threat situation, and there's not really anything you can do about it. And the reason why you can't do anything about it is because you yourself, watching this probably, are not popular. And if you happen to be popular on the internet, you've probably already talked about this because this is something that we all came to a conclusion to, I don't know, like 10 days after the pandemic was officially declared in the United States. So after, 1.1 million deaths, it's kind of like someone it feels to me like someone missed the notice on our populace is not us, the young, the millennials and lower. Like, we're pretty fucking smart to understand, like, don't click this is a virus. There are people alive who will still click it. Therefore, there are people who still stand to make money extorting those people when they get caught. Therefore, there's still a thriving industry that does that. You think when that industry dies, when those people that they've been scamming die, you think they're not going to teach that to the next layer of people? Oh, here's how you get better at it. Bro, here's how you scam. And it's like, bro, we done already moved on from that. Yeah, we got this and that. Let's just use our network. And it continues and flows through generations. If you go on an unintended, unscripted rant and these type of thoughts don't pop up in your head as you're saying each and every next thing, then how do I know that you're putting on a character and you're not actually thinly making these mistakes because that's what you underlyingly feel like? Now, I could go through more of your content and figure it out. I could go through all your situations and figure it out. But what purpose would that give me when in every video I've ever made, and I've made 700 of them to this date, plus 200 on another channel and plus plus a whole bunch of videos and everything for everybody else. I've been up and down, and in not one of them videos I ever gotta ask, what do you mean by that? So my question now is becoming, who are you? Not in some G-check, like, yo, who is you? Smack, who is this nigga? No, it's not that at all. I'm really asking, who are you? Who is this person? Why do they have 1.6 million subscribers? And Cool Kid only got 773,000. Why I'm seeing all these channels and all my friends struggling to grow and audiences are latching onto this, which doesn't reach out to anybody. It's vapid at best. Unscripted rants, talk about something. I don't feel you. I don't feel like, don't, I don't, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm not feeling it.
Forget our crumbling infrastructure all across the country, collapsing bridges and highways and potholes everywhere. No, we need to focus on cognitive infrastructure. Your brain is infrastructure to these freaks. Do you hear?
Y'all remember the rally, the truck rally leading up to January 6th? Y'all remember how that broke like critical infrastructure points, and then at the same time the Canadian truck strike was going on, or like a piece of that was getting started? I might be wrong in my timeline and dates here, but I'm pretty sure there was somebody, because I definitely remember one of them motherfuckers saying, "Oh, we're gonna go join them up north." No funny shit. If we're gonna move into a if we have any hope of ever moving into a meritocracy, this is the conversation we're gonna have. You could be one of the greatest motherfucking mechanics I done ever met. You could put together an F5 jet in 3 days by yourself. Engines and everything. You got the carry, you got the gear, you got the forklift, you're forklift certified. But damn, I just can't hire you because you keep calling everyone who is a tint darker than like albino the N-word. Like, I can't stand it, bro.
Hear that? I hate cars. Why are you driving a car? Where are you going at this hour? Are you coming home from work? Why aren't you at home yelling at your webcam? Cars. Where's my high-speed rail? In June, the same DHS advisory committee of CISA, which includes Twitter head of legal policy, trust and safety, Vijaya Gaddy, God, I'm so white, and University of Washington professor Kate Starbird, drafted a report to the CISA director calling for an expansive role for the agency in shaping the information ecosystem. Facebook and Twitter accounts flagged by the DHS or its partners as dangerous forms of disinformation or potentially foreign influence were clearly parody accounts or accounts with virtually no followers or influence. So when this topic comes up, people always ask me like, well, misinformation is a very big problem. It's dangerous. Like, what should we do about it? And in a normal, sane world, nothing.
You know what? Before I say anything, let me give people the benefit of the doubt. Let me just hear what you're gonna say. What should we do?
Combat misinformation, you would fill the internet with correct information, I suppose. You could probably start by not banishing people to little corners of the internet and...
Oh my fucking god, that's the euthanasia argument. Okay, so if you don't know, it's not the literal euthanasia argument. So you hear it as euthanize. It's the youth in Asia argument. But in other words, banishing people to smaller corners of the internet, telling them you can't hang out with the big groups, we're banning your account, only fosters greater misinformation, claims that those people won't find their ways back into that circle with more radicalized ideas. Keeping them there would mean we'd have to keep everybody there, which means they're gonna be there one way or another. Like, we have to combat the source of it. You can't flood the internet with good information because who decides what's good and what's bad? There are certain things that are just objective. But right now, nobody's arguing objective. They're arguing the abstract, or, as I'm gonna say it again for like the 5th time in this video, the absurd.
Echo chambers where they're just surrounded by people who agree with them, where they just all have their potentially wrong facts validated to each other.
That's social media in a nutshell. See, this is why I be saying people my age have been through these wars. Like, maybe I'm scarred from it, but like, do y'all not remember the Times Square incidents on 4chan? Were you not there for that? Were you not there for like that middleman spark between King Batch, Jerry Purple Drank, and like the underbelly of 4chan in the R section, Were you not there for that? Do you know why we call it Rule 34? Not even to like rope those in as a link, but like we've always had this spiral into insanity where something in real life gets affected by the internet. Like what purpose does it serve ever worrying about who posts it? It's the post itself. And that's what we're trying to nail down. Because you can't nail that down. That's fucked up. And they know that. We entered into an era in human history that we accelerated past what we understood. We've done this before with the Industrial Revolution. Generally, every Industrial Revolution does this, but we're not gonna sit here and say the copper times were like the worst damaging to the environment, all right?
Hell, I don't even mind those little fact check blurbs that like Twitter has that will show up on people's posts, as long as people aren't being banned or censored. But I have two issues.
Here's where that fails. If you don't have a problem with it, I'm gonna tell you why I got a problem with it. Most people don't even see the fact check until it's added hours later, let alone there's like tweets below that say, oh, this got fact checked, but here's the proof. What am I asking for? And people who are doing good things, who get negative community notes, clearly trying to blur the lines, also say the same shit. So it's harder even to tell. There was an event that I was at that somebody posted about, and motherfuckers community noted to say that wasn't true. And I'm looking at it like, that's not possible. Who would do that? And then I gotta remember it's the internet. Maybe them niggas are banished to the Shadow Realm, came back with the help of Bakura.
Issues with the fact checking thing. One, it honestly just ruins jokes. Like a few months ago, I made a joke about the Choco Taco being discontinued by the woke mob, and I shit you not, my meme was removed by Twitter. Then I got fact checked online by multiple fact checking websites. We used to be able to goof around on the internet. It was a beautiful place. Now you get
No, we used to goof around on the internet. It used to be a beautiful place. All I'm saying is, do these people have friends? Do these people have friends? Because if you have a friend, or you are a person who is of the age of 32 and younger, you have noticed that the word literally has been added into the lexicon almost directly, to the point where you will never ever fucking escape the word, yo, he literally, because a lot of shit that's happening right now shouldn't literally be happening, but yet it is. I have to tell you what's not absurd. Because we used to tell stories that sounded absurd. But motherfuckers knew when you was hanging out with Ricky and them, you knew some dumb shit was gonna go down. That's a story you tell for later.
Reuters and
She missed the part where millions of brainless believed her joke too. That's how disconnected I am, that I don't give a fuck. Maybe I saw it in passing. I don't give a fuck. And that's crazy too, because it's like, this is what we was talking about with the AI shit, the AI voice. Oh, shit is being used for good. Wonder if it'll be used for bad. And people were like, don't put that in the air. And it's not that we put it in the air, it's that we know what reality look like.
an AFP fact check on your ass for doing a little trolling. But my biggest issue with it is the one I've been saying for years in multiple videos. Who is deciding what and what isn't misinformation?
Do not be a political person or touch social information and ever say the phrase, who watches The Watchmen? Don't do it. Don't do it. There is no answer. There is no answer. I swear to God, the only answer is like people like us, Twitch streamers, and people screaming at their microphones. Your parents gotta be working there. Yeah, I gotta have some connectivity to you. Literally vibes politics all over again.
Like you know the rules.
Literally vibes politics all over again.
You sure about that? You sure about that? That's why? You sure it wasn't because after the thing that happened to me, no one could look at me without dying laughing? You sure about that?
Information. Google, Facebook, Twitter. You want Elon Musk deciding what is misinformation? The government? The American government? You want the American government to decide what is true and what isn't for you?
No, but if there are claims that currently right now there isn't a transgenocide in America and people are pushing that and saying that pride is bad and we should, like, you see that? You see the culture war that we're fighting right now? A presidential candidate launched an entire campaign on it. You see that type of shit? That's the shit we talk about. That's the shit we talking about. That's what we're talking about. What are you talking about, though?
You want them to wipe?
Doesn't Elon decide what is and isn't misinformation right now? Yep. Wait a minute. Well, hold on. Okay, so this is where I have to be uncharitable and unfair. I will admit that is the premise to this conversation because somebody's going to say, there's no way Shoe could have known that was going to happen. True, even though we all saw it coming anyway. It's funny, though, that months later, Elon's pinned tweet for any period of time was Matt Walsh's What is a Woman documentary. The person who pretty much can send tweets and push tweets wherever he wants.
Wipe your ass too, you little baby? Little here comes the airplane looking motherfucker? Like, yeah, the government and billionaire run corporations have never been wrong. What? Are you listening to yourself? Under President Joe Biden, the shifting focus on disinformation has continued. In January 2021, CISA replaced the Countering Foreign Influence Task Force with the Misinformation, Disinformation, and Malinformation Team, which was created to promote more flexibility to focus on general MDM. By now, the scope of the effort had expanded beyond disinformation produced by foreign governments to include domestic versions. The MDM team, according to one CISA official, counters all types of disinformation. Now, some people will see this video and they'll be like, Shoe, are you really defending people who post misinformation and hate speech and are toxic online? Yes! Because that's what free speech is. Like Noam Chomsky said, if we—
He literally did it. Sorry, she literally did it. She literally did it. She literally did it. She literally did it. I said he because I read Noam Chomsky. That's not... You're missing the forest for the trees.
we don't believe in freedom of expression for people we despise, we don't believe in it at all.
That's different than like, yo, this is what I mean about that whole, the way we teach about the Nazi shit. We really make it seem like that shit was sudden. Like it just happened one night.
You know what's funny? Years ago...
No, Cagnadian. I don't want to say that in this video. I don't want to say that in this video. Because that makes me... Where's your source on that? That nigga said it!
During like my peak anti-SJW phase, it wasn't really a phase, like I still am, like, I hate when people say that. I still think SJWs are very annoying. They're very annoying people, but they're not like the most important issue, but... Anyway, going on a tangent. During my peak, like, anti-SJW days, I didn't really fully believe in free speech. And as I grew older and moved more left-wing, I also became more pro-free speech. And something I used to say a lot in order to get other liberals and leftists on my side was, what if it happens to you one day? What if they come for you and your opinions one day? And honestly, now, I don't think they have anything to worry about. These people are so cucked now. They don't question anything. I'm blackpilled. I refuse to believe that the people who are defending like the DHS is the same movement as Occupy Wall Street. I'm sorry, these aren't the same. These aren't the same people.
None of that is how this works. None of that is how this works. None of that is how this works. I'm out. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
Don't
Don't care, didn't ask, cry about it, stay mad, get real, L mold, seed cope.
I have a crazy idea. This might be too wild, but what if, hear me out, we all just shut the fuck up? That'd be pretty chill.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a phone call. So I am going to play a video. That is not this video. And I'm going to set up my settings. So that way this works.